Football, especially in the United States, is a high-impact sport where players are subjected to immense physical demands. With the game's fast pace, powerful collisions, and complex plays, injuries are an unfortunate part of the sport's culture. Some of these injuries have been serious, not only affecting the careers of the players, but also raising concerns about the long-term health implications for those involved in the sport. One of the most devastating injuries in NFL history occurred to Joe Theismann, the star quarterback for the Washington Redskins. In a game against the New York Giants in 1985, Theismann suffered a career-ending injury when Lawrence Taylor, one of the league's most feared linebackers, sacked him in a brutal collision. Theismann's right leg was broken in 2 places, and his fibula and tibia were visibly snapped. The injury was so gruesome that it shocked both the fans in the stadium and the viewers at home. Despite numerous surgeries, Theismann's career ended that day, and his injury became one of the most talked-about moments in NFL history. Another serious injury that shocked the NFL was that of quarterback Steve Young in 1999, known for his skillful play and leadership of the San Francisco 49ers. Young was knocked out of the game after taking a hit to the head during a playoff game against the Arizona Cardinals. The impact resulted in a concussion, and Young's history with head injuries ultimately forced him to retire early. Throughout his career, Young had been plagued by concussions, which led to his decision to step away from the game. His early retirement highlighted the dangers of head trauma in football and helped bring attention to the increasing concerns surrounding concussions in the sport. Concussions became a central issue in the sport of football. In the 2000s, as more players began to suffer from the long-term effects of repeated head trauma, the NFL faced increasing scrutiny for how it handled concussions, especially as it became clear that players who sustained multiple head injuries could develop chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, a degenerative brain disease. The case of former linebacker Junior Seau, who played for the San Diego Chargers, Miami Dolphins, and New England Patriots, is one of the most tragic. In 2012, Seau was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and later autopsy results revealed that he had CTE. Seau's death drew widespread attention to the dangers of head injuries in football, leading to increased awareness about the potential long-term consequences of concussions and their role in the mental health struggles of former players. Another catastrophic injury involved the rise and fall of the promising career of running back Gale Sayers. Known as one of the most explosive and electrifying players in the NFL during the 1960s, Sayers was a star for the Chicago Bears. Unfortunately, his career was marred by knee. After suffering a torn ACL and meniscus in 1968, Sayers was never the same. He attempted several comebacks, but his injury ultimately led to a shortened career. Despite playing only 7 seasons, Sayers is remembered as one of the greatest running backs of all time. However, his injuries raised concerns about how the league and its medical staff handled injuries during that era. In more recent years, the NFL has seen its fair share of players sidelined by serious injuries, with many involving knee and ankle injuries. One such case was the injury of Adrian Peterson, one of the league's most dominant running backs. In 2011, Peterson tore his ACL and MCL in a game against the Washington Redskins, an injury that typically takes many months to recover from. Despite the severity of the injury, Peterson made a stunningly fast recovery and returned to the field the following season. His incredible comeback was a testament to his determination, but it also highlighted the immense physical toll that the game can have on players' bodies. Peterson went on to play several more seasons, although his injury and subsequent surgeries continued to affect his career. The injury to Peyton Manning, one of the most iconic quarterbacks in NFL history, also made headlines. In 2011, Manning underwent multiple neck surgeries after a series of issues with his vertebrae, leading to a season-long absence. At the time, it was uncertain whether Manning would ever play again, but after a successful recovery, he returned to play for the Denver Broncos in 2012. Manning went on to lead the Broncos to a Super Bowl victory, proving that he could overcome such a serious injury. His return, however, made it clear how much medical science had evolved in terms of treatment and recovery, as well as the risks players take when dealing with serious injuries in the NFL. Another major injury that rocked the football world occurred to quarterback Alex Smith in 2018. While playing for the Washington football team, Smith suffered a compound fracture to his right leg during a game against the Houston Texans. His leg was so severely injured that it required 17 surgeries, and doctors even discussed the possibility of amputation. Smith defied the odds and made an incredible recovery, eventually returning to play in the NFL in 2020. His comeback story was inspiring, but it also shed light on the gruesome nature of injuries in professional football and the sacrifices players make for the love of the game. Finally, the case of Tua Tagovailoa, the young quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, brought concussion awareness back into the spotlight in 2022. Tagovailoa suffered 2 noticeable head injuries during the season, one of which left him visibly disoriented and struggling to maintain his balance. The NFL's handling of the situation was widely criticized, as many believed the protocols for concussion evaluation were not followed correctly.